Good morning, Facebook. Happy Sabbath. Happy morning. I wanted to share something really quickly. I'm going to jump right into it. I was sitting here and not doing anything. Well, nothing much. And I was reading this book that a friend of mine passed to me. It's called Secrets of an Irresistible Woman. And it is a really good book about relationships and basically what a woman of God, a follower of Christ, the way that she should be when it comes to attracting a mate. And I often don't read books like this because I feel like, okay, I am not that girl that's like sitting at home, penciling, highlighting, and trying to figure out what I need to do to get a man. That is not me by any way, shape, or form. But my friend passed it to me, and I said, I'll read it. She told me some good points that she liked, and I said, I'll check it out. So I've been reading it now for the last maybe 3 or 4 weeks, off and on, and I'm trying to finish it now so I don't have it out any longer from her. Not one of those people that hold people's stuff. I think that's rude. But anywho, but the book has me thinking about my future relationship, what I want, and it also has me thinking about past relationships and what I did wrong, what he may have not done right, or more so what I did or could have done, or didn't do or whatever, just my role in the situation. And not just relationships as far as like dating, just why some things never flourished, why things never took off, why I still felt pain behind the failed relationships or the failed non-flourishing of a relationship. And I began to think about one in particular recently that I still kind of had a sore thumb towards too. And I had to ask God, okay, God, why am I like this? Why was I so anxious to receive the man that you have for me, not to go out to the point where I go and make him come myself or find him myself, but just kind of more like, what's going on? And I began to think about one that in particular that was fairly recent, the way it came to an end very recently. But it was a pretty long ordeal emotionally, I think, for me. But not in the sense that one would think. I had encountered a person that I was not trying to attract. And when I realized that person was interested, I was like, okay, whatever, let's see what it is. And I prayed about it, and God began to share some things with me about the person. And I was like, okay, well, this is completely not the plan that I was thinking I was going to take. But God, if you want something to come out of this, if you want this person to have something that you've ordained for me to give them, then allow me to do so. And long story short, things ended in a very confusing, just smack in the face way. And I was like, well, God, I felt bad because I was angry because I felt rejected. I felt like my feelings weren't considered. I felt abused or misused. I just really felt disregarded for. And that's my natural side. But my spiritual side was still wounded, even though I healed from the whole like, oh, rejection didn't happen, whatever, move on. But I noticed that I was still carrying a bag of pain, and I didn't understand why. And I began to ask God about it this morning, and it came to me that I was like, the Lord kind of revealed to me, he allowed me to see on my own for myself that the pain that I was carrying is because I had a desire to help this person, and I still feel like this person needed help and they didn't want it. And I said, God, how do you deal with that, walking or just looking down on your people every day, human life, mankind, people with souls, period, and saying, Lord, I have what this person needs, so I can heal this person's life, but they won't allow me to. They won't accept me. They are not ready, or they may never allow me to come in. And I'm like, God, how do you deal with that pain of rejection? But not just the rejection, but just the point of like, I can help this person. I want to get in and I want to make this meal. I want to cook. I want to get involved. I want to do this. I want to do that, because that's my issue. I'm always a person that wants to be heavily involved. And recently, God has blocked everything that I've tried to get involved in, not just when it comes to men, but just in general. And I'm like, God, how in the world? This is the hardest thing. Like, how do you sit back and learn how to control your urge to help? And not to the point where it's like you jump in and start controlling people. No, it's just when you see a need and you're like, hey, can I assist you? And somebody says no. Okay, well, clearly you need some help. I can help you. I want to help you. Why are you not letting me do this? You need this. But anyway, so that was a hard thing for me. That is something I'm still learning to work on. And I also realized, okay, Lord, you'll help me with that. But then also I said, well, God, the flip side of that is that I don't want to keep helping men or people, because I feel like I've done that in my whole life, where I've allowed people to be able to grow and then they say, oh, thank you, and move on. And I'm like, well, God, where in the world is the reward at for me? Okay, I put in time, I put in effort, and that was one of the things that I felt with this previous relationship, or whatever you want to call it. That I felt like, not just because I wanted to help the person, but also I felt like, well, I put in some stuff and I deserve some freaking reward. And God had to help me realize that sometimes the reward is the person budding and growing. You know, I used to say, well, God, I'm tired of being this person or this woman where I help all the men that come into my life, and I help them grow up, only for them to take what I've learned, what they've learned from me, what I taught them, and use it on somebody else. And sometimes I'm like, well, good, because I ain't with the man anyway. But other times I'm like, well, dang it, God, you know, I should reap from that reward. And God had to let me realize that sometimes the reward is not what you think is going to be. You're not going to clean up a man, all of a sudden he's going to become your Prince Charming. Sometimes that's not it. Sometimes that person is coming into your life just so that you can help them and pass them off. A teacher can say, well, I did such great things with this student, and then they move on to the next year, the next grade, and you don't have him anymore. And the teacher may feel like, well, God, you know, I put a lot of work into this. I want to be able to say that when that child graduates in another whatever years, that it was because of me. And that child may not even remember me. Sometimes, a lot of times we do remember our great teachers, but there's a lot of teachers that we don't remember, a lot of teachers we don't even think of when we graduate. And that teacher is probably feeling like they put a lot into us and we don't even think about what they did. And the Lord will have to remind us that sometimes the reward is not them coming back and acknowledging or giving you credit. Sometimes the reward is seeing the flower grow. Sometimes the reward is seeing that, you know what, I didn't get what I wanted or what I thought I deserved out of this, but the bottom line is that I assisted in that growth of that person. So no, that person didn't come back and shower me with the reaping of what I put into them or the seeds that I sowed into them. But at the same time, the reward, it may not come back that way that you were expecting or you wanted to at that time, or maybe not even ever, but you will reap that reward, because if that person that you help goes on and sows into someone else's life and marries someone else or whatever, give praise and thanks to another teacher or whatever, what about the person that God finally ordains and brings into your life? That same person was once a student or a pupil of someone else that may be feeling the same way you were feeling about somebody else. And what I mean is that when God sends your husband or your wife or whatever, and that person is great and wonderful, please know and believe that he's great and wonderful or she's great and wonderful, not because of their own doing. They have had some people pour into their life, and they have come across somebody that may have said, well, God, I helped this person, and they ran along and went to somebody else. But the reward may be that you pick up the person that they poured into, and vice versa. Somebody else may pick up the person that you poured into, and therefore you are able to give that person something amazing because you help them bud and grow. And they didn't turn around and lavish you with it, but they lavished someone else with it. And you may be able to say, you know what, God, I may have saved someone's marriage because I told this friend that I wanted to date that you need to not date me and go home and be with your wife. And he became a great man, and you sitting there saying, well, God, dang, I wish that he could have been that great man for me, but no, he was a great man for somebody else. And you are in self-pity, feeling like, why couldn't it have been for me? When the reward is even greater, because it's not about you. It's about the fact that you help pour into somebody else to help them realize that I need to be better for my wife or my ordained situation or what, you know what I mean? So it's like, stop sitting there in self-pity and saying, well, God, what am I going to get out of it? Why haven't that person lavished me back with what I poured into them? We may plant a tree, a seed, and grow that tree. And then years later, that tree comes and we say, okay, this tree is here. And we may never even pick an apple from that. Others may enjoy that apple. Do you see the farmer saying, Well, dang it, I didn't get a chance to enjoy those apples. I put that seed in the ground. I watered it. I watched over it. I made sure it grew. No, someone else ate that apple. Someone else got the nutrients of that plant. And that's the greater reward. Not from you to be able to say that I can hoard all of what I've done for myself. Not so that I can say I took this whole apple tree and I have all the apples to myself and I deserve it because I planted it. I put work into it. That's selfish and that's not of God. That's not the right spirit. But the thing about it is that you have to look at it and say, that tree grew up and I did not taste not one piece of that fruit, but there's millions of other people that will benefit from it. And that's how God operates. God does not allow us to get a blessing just so that one person can be blessed. He will allow you to pour a seed into something so that millions can reap the harvest from what you sown. And then you will come back and in turn pick a fruit from another tree that somebody else planted. You did not plant that seed, but your husband, your wife that comes, you didn't have, a lot of times we did not have an ounce of anything to do with that person being that person that we need them to be when we meet them. Yes, once we hook up, we'll grow each other and all of that. And we can, thank God and say, okay, Lord, praise Jehovah for what I've been able to do post us hooking up. But when you meet that person and he's right, you didn't put any ounce of work into making him what he is. Somebody else did. And that's how God does. He lets the tree, the apple, nourish and replenish rather, others. You know what I mean? I hope I'm making sense. I know I tend to think deep critically about things, and I don't know if I'm always, explaining what I mean because sometimes people around me don't tend to think as deeply as I do, or may not be able to process all that I'm saying. But for a better example, you got to look at Ruth and Boaz. When Boaz met Ruth and when Ruth met Boaz, they were both great people that they needed in each other's lives. But neither one of them had any hand in making them who they were when they met each other. See what I'm saying? So just because you feel like I sowed a seed and I didn't get to taste that fruit before it left me, doesn't mean that, oh God, I'm so tired of doing this. I'm so tired of making everybody better for everybody else and never for me. You are working to make the world a better place because that person will pick up what you put in them and go on and be able to plant seeds in their relationship and what they're doing or whatever it is. So, don't be so selfish to say, I didn't get a chance to taste that fruit. I didn't get a chance to taste what I thought I should have because I put my sweat and my back and my this, that, and third into it. Maybe it will come back around, and eventually it probably will, because everything in the kingdom, it circulates, commonwealth. But you may not see it right now, but you may run into that person 10 years from now or 2 years from now, and they may say, you know what, man, because of you, I'm XYZ. Or they might come back and say, you know what, well, you know what? I'm glad I ran into you because I couldn't stop thinking about you for the last 2 years or whatever. You just never know how it may happen. And just know that even though you may not taste the fruit of that seed that you planted right then or ever, please know that it's not going to waste and that eventually it will come back to you somehow, some way, shape, or form. You may not see that person again. They may go on and say, I took what you taught me, I applied it, and I worked it with my other relationship or with whatever. But just know that some way, shape, or form is going to come back and you will reap the harvest. You will. So that was encouraging for me, and also when that, going back to my other point, was when I said, God, how do you live? How do you manage to see so many people that need your help and they won't let you help them? Well, that hurts, but at the same time, it's teaching you, it's teaching me, I'll speak for myself because maybe others already know this lesson, but I'll speak for myself. It's teaching me control. I'm not a control freak. I'm not a controller. I've never been a controlling person. Never, ever, ever. It's not my thing. I don't believe in controlling people. That's too much work. But I can say that it's taught me how to have self-control in controlling my emotions and my feelings. And not in resisting the urge to just jump in and take control and make things, when I say take control, I'm not saying controlling a person. I mean controlling a situation. I'm in a present situation where I wanted to be out years ago, but I'm still there. And it's taught me how to say, Lord, I'm following your lead. And that's a point that we have to live. We have to learn once we live and grow in our relationship with Christ. Lord, do we actually trust you enough to say, okay, I'm gonna stick with you when the ball is rolling and we moving, and also in the times when we just sitting there and you like, what in the world am I doing? What, for somebody like me, I love to move. I love to get busy. I love being active. I love life. I love living. So to sit here and wait on this and wait on a check every 2 weeks, or wait on, things to happen, it's hard. It is a fight, and it is a challenge for me to continue on in that way, because I'm always thinking a million different ways. How can I get out of this hole? And sometimes that's a good thing when you're like, how can I get out of this hole? But then there's other times where God's like, I don't want you to get out the hole just yet. I want you to stay here because I want you to learn how to trust me. I want you to learn how to control your emotions. I want you to learn how to sit down and be still. I want you to learn a slew of things, whatever it may be. I need you to sit down and shut up, basically. Sit down and shut up. When we get in that moment, we're steady trying to jump in and fix things and control the situations. We can end up making our own wait a lot longer. And think about the children of Israel when they came out of Egypt. The Bible says it was an 11-day journey. But them wretched Negroes turn into 40 years. 11 days to 40 years. Think about that. You need to have a seat. Sit down, be still, relax, chill out. Don't stress yourself. Doing that will cause you to have a heart attack or some other type of health issue. Relax. Don't say the time is winding up, Lord, and I want to get this done. Relax. If he sees your heart, he knows your heart, he sees your heart. And if your heart is pure and saying, God, I want to do what you purpose for me to do, there's no way in the world that he will allow you not to do that. If you continue to follow and trust his commandments and obey his rules and his laws and his leading of the Holy Spirit and what he tells you to do. There's no way you're going to miss that. So just have a good day. Have a good Sabbath. Relax. Don't work. If you can, don't work. Relax. Enjoy that day. And I'm sure enough enjoying, because I had a long last weekend. I got up and worked, a full work week. Yeah, I'm enjoying this time off. But anyway, just wanted to share that. I hope it blesses someone, and have a great day. Bye.